Welcome, everyone, to 24/7 Sports. I am Tom Loy. Alongside the 105 guys, we've got Director of Scouting Andrew Ivins and National Analyst Cooper Patagna. Signing day is right around the corner, so we're looking at 2025 recruiting classes all across the country and bringing fans a look at their soon-to-be signees. Today, we're hitting Ole Miss. They have the number 21 recruiting class this cycle. They have 18 commits set to play for head coach Lane Kiffin. Andrew, let's get right into it. Early draft pick potential, a guy with elite traits now, but also somebody who could find himself drafted early in the next couple of years.
Tom, not an easy one here. Ole Miss right now, just one commit inside the top 247. You feel like, hey, this recruiting class is far from done. There might be some more targets out there on the board. And really, I mean, this is a program that has been laser focused on the transfer portal, trying to make a college football playoff push. So I'm going to go with a 3-star prospect. I think that's the first one in this category so far in this series. Cornerback Mason Dunn, number 40 corner for us right now, over 6'2", 33-inch arms. He's got an 89 speed score, according to our friends at Next Gen Prospects. That's going to catch the eye of Sunday evaluators one day. He can absolutely run, fights to maintain phase on the outside. You'll see him, jump up in front of routes. You'll see him in the deeper third making plays. Type of kid where you're hoping, Cooper, that he gets that last-minute invitation to the Alabama-Mississippi game. But I really like what this kid has and what he could be at some point down the line.
Yeah, I too kind of ran into the same conundrum when you talk about Ole Miss's class, but this is the guy that has continuously kind of come up when you talk to programs, not just including Ole Miss, other SEC programs out there monitoring a guy like Mason Dunn. And for all the reasons that Drew said, I mean, he is a long, reactionary, tall drink of water at the cornerback position. He is what everybody wants at that position. And, a guy that ran 11.41 in the 100 meters, so quicker than he is fast, but he's got a lot of bounce to him as well. And I like the way that he plays, technically sound, really off the line of scrimmage and press coverage, and then playing the deeper third as well. So this is a guy that absolutely has a chance to, maybe make us look bad at the end of the day. I mean, we've been chewing on this. Do we put him in the top 247? Do we put a 4-star on it? And quite honestly, we want to see him play himself into that. Like we know the specs are there. We like the athlete. We want to see him kind of come into his own. But this is definitely a dude that I would not be surprised if he outkicks his coverage at the next level. And we're going to be talking about for a while. Hopefully, we'll get to see it Alabama and Mississippi.
I went with running back Shai Mills-Knight, spoke to some coaches that are no longer in play. Obviously, he's committed to Ole Miss, but they are not happy that he's sticking with the Rebels. They love him. They think he's the real deal. I'm a fan. He's explosive, natural pass catcher, good balance, one of the most complete backs in the country. That's a really nice get for Ole Miss. Day one impact, we'll go back to you, Coop. Somebody who's going to see the field early and often at Ole Miss.
I'm going to go with Mills-Knight as well. I think Ole Miss has been looking for this guy at running back. Judkins in the transfer portal going to Ohio State. They've kind of had to piece it together at running back a little bit. Henry Parrish comes back over from Miami. Shai Mills-Knight, just the frame, 6'2", 210, kind of fits what Ole Miss wants to do. They want to get downhill in a hurry. I think he kind of fits that power running game. Up tempo as well. I like this kid the more that I watch him. Originally from Canada, got a lacrosse background as well. So incredibly gifted, sudden. When you think about him, you think of one cut, north-south, vision, balance, body control. There's a lot to like. He's a complete package, and I think he's a guy that's really kind of built to play early in the SEC.
If you look at Ole Miss's kind of two deep, and really, I think a lot of positions would fit in this. But of the 11 guys they have listed in the secondary heading into Georgia this upcoming weekend, 8 of them are seniors. So playing time is going to be available. Now, I think Ole Miss will be in the transfer portal. So the name that came to mind for me here is safety Larian Clarity, number 24 safety for us. I think this guy is someone that can do a little bit of everything. Long been a fan of him. He comes from the Panhandle in the Sunshine State, which has churned out some NFL defensive backs in recent cycles. Devon Weatherspoon, anyone he comes to mind. Clarity on the smaller side, but I love the instincts. You turn on the tape, there's some high-flying acts. He comes from hash to hash, jumping up in front of routes, coming away with takeaways. A little bit concerned about him as an open field tackler here as a senior. But, man, if they can get that right, I think Larian Clarity is a guy that can contribute in year one for what will likely be a completely rebuilt Ole Miss secondary.
I'm joining you on Larian Clarity. I've seen enough where I just think he can step in right away, make an impact, make some plays, and really help that defense. The spotlight's not going to be too big for him. He's ready. He's fired up for the moment. I like that get. Boomer bust. Ivans, come back to you. An intriguing talent, maybe somebody that could potentially underachieve or outperform his current ranking. Kind of a mystery. Who do you got?
This is a prospect that's been on like the top 247 cut line, I think, for over a year now, Cooper. Linebacker Jacoby Hobson, in-state prospect. I like the athlete. I love the idea of what he can be. Just kind of waiting on the football player to get there. You look at what he's doing as a senior. They'll rush him off the edge. He'll play from an interior posting, also kind of off-ball, drop back into coverage, sometimes even as a slot defender. I think he has everything it takes to bake into the ideal speed and space linebacker in the SEC. My big question with him is the instincts, the ability to process, read, and Pete Golding's defense. It's very complex. You're asked to do a lot. Jacoby Hobson, can he digest all of that? And then is he going to be able to play fast? Is he going to be able to play up to the speed that he has in those legs? So easy one for me. Again, 4-star prospect for us. I can see him baking into a complete difference maker, or I could see him being more of a rotational guy.
I think we need to start having production meetings on these things because we keep picking the same dudes. But for the sake of changing up the conversation, I'll go with Andrew Maddox out of Hattiesburg. This is a big guy on the interior. Ole Miss has done a really good job, I think, recruiting the defensive line the last couple cycles via high school. And you think about Andrew Maddox, another big body, 6'3", over 270 pounds. He's a nimble mover. He's got speed to power ability. I think he can anchor and defeat double teams as well. So this is one of those guys we'll get to see in Mobile here in a couple weeks, and I'm excited for it. And it's my experience with these type of players, especially when you get in the Alabama-Mississippi game, there's limited exposure. These guys could go one or two ways, or maybe even they plateau and they kind of flatline a little bit. But I think Andrew Maddox is one of those dudes that I could see kind of climb up a little bit after a good week, because I think he's got more to him than what we've seen. So excited to see him in Mobile.
Guys, we're kind of all on the same page here. I went with linebacker Jacoby Hobson as well. Two-way guy, shines on both sides of the ball. But I think as he continues to focus solely on defense, he's going to improve. I just think he needs to become a little bit more explosive. That's kind of the only thing that makes me a little hesitant about him. But I think he's ready for the next level. I'm fired up about him. Diamond in the rough, Coop, we'll go back to you. A 3-star prospect who could surprise some people and maybe even find himself drafted down the road. Who do you got?
I'm going to go with Talib Graham, and this is a guy that I've been really, really high on throughout the process from Daphne High School. And, he's missing a couple traits in terms of the length and what you want. He's 6'1" and a quarter. He's 236, but you're talking about a guy that just knows how to get to the quarterback. That's Talib Graham, and I think his role at the next level is going to be more of a situational pass rusher. Can he be a guy that's going to play on 3 downs? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But just in terms of this guy being a unique specialist at what he does, the suddenness, I think the ability to bend the edge. He's a really good athlete, and I love the motor, right? And a guy like that, if you're going to give up a little bit of length, then you got to have a motor that runs really hot. So he is a technically sound kid. He knows how to win at the point of attack. He can beat you in a lot of different ways. And I just think pound for pound, he's one of the best players in my region that I have: Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, and Kentucky. He's one of my favorite guys to watch. I think he's going to be a really, really productive player on Saturdays.
I'm going to go with defensive lineman Tyon Lee, and I said defensive lineman. We list him right now as an edge rusher. Another kid from Florida's Panhandle, where Ole Miss is kind of zeroed in. They flip him recently from UCF. Last measurement we had him on him, 6'4", 238 pounds. I had a chance to size him up actually when he was visiting UCF a few weeks ago. I think he might be 250 now. I think he's a guy that could eventually carry 265. Kind of fits that ideal 4-eye roll and potentially even a jack in Pete Golding's defense. I love how he holds his ground. Really, really good against the run. We've seen that here as a senior, only 3 sacks, but again, he can anchor. He can allow those linebackers to run free behind him. I think it's a good get for Ole Miss in the Sunshine State. Going to fly a bit under the national radar, but a kid where you get him in the developmental lifting program, you polish him up a little bit. I think he's going to be able to contribute in the SEC and potentially make an impact.
We were almost on the same page on that one as well. I almost went with Lee, but I went with this defensive back, Keon Young. I think he's just a damn good ball player. I don't know if he's a corner or a safety, but he makes plays. He can play both spots at a high level. I do think eventually down the road, I think he could hear his name called in the NFL draft. But that wraps it up. As I said before, we're going to hit a bunch of schools leading up to December's early signing period. But for Andrew Ivins and Cooper Patagna, I'm Tom Loy. As always, stay locked to 247sports.com.